It's recording.
The paper's back up.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we'd like to welcome all of you, all of our parents. Our students we're learning about the importance of Hadith-e-Kisa, and they, with the help of Sister Zainab, they have put together a small little play. So inshallah you'll be able to see that. Then we have our students who will be saying some sayings that we have learned from Bibi Fatima al-Zahra, Salamullahi alayha, and we'll have a short nasheed, a poem in her praising her, and a speech from Maulana Hussain. That's today's program. So thank you for all of you for coming, and we will be beginning with the play. We'll begin with the play. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you for coming again. I just want to clarify that this is a play about Hadith-e-Kisa, the event of the cloak. This is in poetry form, and I want to clarify, it is not the exact translation of Hadith-e-Kisa. It is just a poem taken from the translation, so it's easier for the children to understand how the events unfolded. So it's not the exact translation. That's a very important point that Maulana pointed out last week, so I just wanted to clarify that. Okay, Salawat. The event of the cloak. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is the event of the Yemeni cloak, of which to Jabir Fatima spoke. Said she, my dear father came one day. He entered my house and to me did say, my beloved daughter, peace on you. Replied I, O father, peace on you too. Said he, my body feels weak, I must confess. Allah protects you from weakness, I did profess. He said, O Fatima, bring me the Yemeni cloak and cover me with it. So I brought him the Yemeni cloak and covered him with it. I looked at him and saw his face shining like a full moon with all its grace. Salawat. After a while, who was to come? It was Hassan, my loving son, saying, dear mother, peace of Allah be on you. To which I replied, and peace on you too. Apple of my eye, my loving one, delight of my heart, my firstborn son. He said, dear mother, from you I can smell a delightful fragrance I know full well. A fragrance so sweet, a fragrance so pure, that of my grandfather Rasulullah I'm sure. Yes, I said, he is certainly here, your beloved grandfather so dear. He is lying there under the cloak. So Hassan went to him and spoke, saying, O grandfather, peace on you. May I enter with you under the cloak too? To which my loving father replied, peace on you too. Yes, come inside, master of Kawthar, my dear grandson. You are welcome, in you come. Hearing the words his grandfather spoke, Hassan too joined him within the cloak. Salawat. fragrance so sweet, a fragrance so pure, that of my grandfather Rasulullah, I'm sure. Yes, I said, he is certainly here, your beloved grandfather so dear. He is lying with your brother under the cloak. So Hussein went to them and spoke, saying, "O my grandfather, Allah's chosen one, peace on you from your youngest son. May I also be permitted to enter the cloak with the both of you?" To which my loving father replied, "Peace on you too. Yes, come inside. My Ummah's mediator, my dear grandson, you are welcome, in you come." Hearing the words his grandfather spoke, Hussein joined them both under the cloak. Salawat. Then came Hassan's father, Ali, son of Abu Talib. Said he, "O daughter of Allah's Prophet, peace on you." Said I, "Commander of the faithful, peace on you too." He said, "O Fatima, from you I can smell a delightful fragrance, I know full well, that of my brother, my uncle's son, the messenger of Allah, he is the only one." Said I, "Yes, he is here, with your two sons under the cloak." Towards them went Ali and gently spoke, "O Prophet of Allah, peace on you, may I enter the cloak with the three of you?" To which my beloved father replied, "Peace on you too. Yes, come inside. My brother, vicegerent, successor, standard bearer. Yes, you too of the cloak may be the wearer." Hearing the words that the Prophet spoke, Ali too joined them under the cloak. Salawat. Then I went to them standing near. I said, "O Prophet of Allah, my father dear, peace on you. May I now too join under the cloak with all of you?" He replied, "Beloved daughter, peace on you too. O part of myself, please join us too." Hearing the words that my father spoke, I too joined them under the cloak. Salawat. And when we were all gathered under the cloak, my father did something special for just us folk. He held the two ends of the cloak and raised his right hand to the heavens and prayed, "O Lord, these are my Ahlul Bayt, my progeny. In them I confide and they do support me. Their flesh is my flesh, their blood as my own. Whoever hurts them hurts my flesh and bone. Whoever displeases them displeases me." He didn't stop here, just listen closely. "I am at war with those who war against them, and at peace with those who have peace against them. Whoever is their enemy shall be my enemy. Whoever is a friend to them shall be a friend to me, because I am a part of them and they are a part of me. O Allah, bestow your peace upon them and upon me, and also your benevolence and your mercy. For your forgiveness and pleasure is our earnest plea. From all impurities keep them away. Pure and purified let them stay." Salawat. Then said Almighty Allah the Lord, "Listen, O angels, to my word, and inmates of heaven, listen well to what I am about to tell. This erected sky and stretched earth, the illuminated moon and the sun's blazing girth, rotating planets and rippling seas on which ships float and sail, prophet, her father, these are the ones. Salawat. These are the five within the cloak. Hearing this, again Jibreel spoke. O Lord, your permission I wish to take, to join these five, the sixth to make. Then said the Lord, my permission is given. And so Archangel Jibreel came down from the heaven and said, peace on you, O Prophet of Allah, and greetings from the noble Almighty Allah. His grace and mercy he does bestow on you, his prophet here below. A message is sent by the gracious Lord. For you I have brought, this is his word. By my grace and grandeur I am the creator. This erected sky and well-stretched earth, the illuminated moon and the sun's blazing girth, rotating planets and rippling seas, on which ships float and sail with ease. For your sake I created all of this and more, out of love for you five whom I adore. And continued Angel Jibreel, the Lord has permitted that I as well enter the cloak with the five of you. So Allah's Prophet, do you allow me to? Peace on you too, my father replied. Yes, indeed, you may come inside. You of divine revelation, the bearer. You too of their cloak may be the wearer. Thus Jibreel joined us and entered the cloak. And more to my loving father spoke. His revelation Allah sends to you about his desire which holds true. O people of the household, it is Allah's wish to remove from you all forms of blemish and keep you in a state forevermore of perfect purity, perfectly pure. Salawat. Then Ali turned to my father and spoke, what merit is there being under the cloak? What merit has it before the all-seeing? My father replied, by that same being who appointed his prophet for mankind's salvation, when our followers and lovers gather for narration of this great event, Allah will bestow his blessings and mercy on those below. And as long as those gathered together will stay, to forgive their sins the angels will pray. At this my husband said, by Allah triumphant are we and our Shia. Then Prophet replied, O Ali, by that same being who so made me a righteous prophet for mankind's salvation, when our Shia and lovers make recitation of this event, if they are in any despair or pain, Allah will remove them to their gain. And Allah, as always, will take heed and bring relief to those in need. Said Ali, by Allah, we are crowned with success. For us and our Shia, the Lord does bless. By the Lord of the Kaaba, triumphant are we, blessed in this life and life to be. Salawat.
Can you all move to the
Just come in the audience. Give the posters to sisters.
Thank you so much, Sister Zainab and all the participants of the play. Thank you. Sit over there. In the second part of the program, our students would read some of the sayings of Hazrat Fatima Zahra, and the purpose of this activity is just to make them realize that how important are those sayings and what they can actually learn from those golden sayings. Some of them would be sharing their thoughts as well related to those sayings. So let's start with our youngest class. So the first one is Brother Hussein.
Allah wants you to have faith in Him.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now I would like Brother Ali Amir.
On the white carpet. So you see them.
You have the same with you. You don't have the same. Ali Zaidi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allah needs His blessings to thank Him so that their blessings would increase.
So, what do you understand from this? Would you like to share? What does it mean? If we thank, what happens if we thank? It's okay. It's okay. You can go. No problem. Okay. Now, Asana Batul. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
All praise is for Allah, for what He has given everyone, even without being asked for it.
Sana, would you like to share with us? Like, what do you understand from this?
Like, if you had water, you wouldn't ask for water. You would just have it without being asked.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Abis. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allah asks people to be just so that people can be united.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Noor.
Allah asks people to be just so that people can be united.
MashaAllah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Nabiha.
O Allah, make me aware of how great you are and how insignificant I am. Make me do everything to gain your pleasure and make me avoid everything that could lead to you being unhappy with me. You are the most merciful.
Any thought on this?
What I understood from this is that if you do something that would make Allah unhappy with your action, then why would you do it unless if you didn't understand what that action was?
Thank you. Thank you. Hamza.
Allah has advised keeping good relationships with close relatives so that you can prolong your life.
So what do you understand by that? Any message to
Yeah, you should be kind with your family and friends. It's not just them. You should be kind with everybody. So and then, it says like in here, Allah will prolong your life if you're kind with other people.
Thank you so much, Hamza. So, Fatima.
Humankind cannot fully understand Allah except by studying His attributes. Asma'ul Husna. Some of the attributes of Allah are His beautiful names that we are supposed to reflect in our personality. The first one is Rahman, meaning general blessings. So, since Allah gives us like oxygen, and that's one of the general blessings, we should be kind to other people as well. Rahim, specific blessings. Some gifted people, such as Ayatollah Khamenei, Allah gives them specific blessings. Ali, knowledgeable. We should be knowledgeable in our lives and read lots of books. And Kareem, most generous. Since many people don't have enough to eat or drink, we should be generous to them and give to them what they need.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Zahra.
The Quran contains all the knowledge one could want. Following these instructions will lead us to Allah and heaven.
So, Sarah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allah wanted everyone He created to be rewarded and go to heaven. It was only because of this that He made a reward for those who listened to Him, and He decided to punish those who did not listen.
Sarah, would you like to explain this?
He was trying to be just so it can be fair for everybody.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajil faraj. I guess that's it. And we really need to appreciate the fact that these students have prepared this in a very little time. I mean, they didn't get any time to practice, but good thing is that they have participated in that program, and they have actually contributed positively, as you said. Okay, so Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So next item is Hamza's Nasheed. So Hamza would be reciting a Nasheed for Bibi Fatima.
Salawat. Ya Zahra, flower of Ali. Ya Hawra, delight of Nabi. Ya Zahra, flower of Ali. Ya Hawra, delight of Nabi. Al-A'imma bint al-Khadija. Al-A'imma bint al-Khadija. Ruh al-Kamali. The one and only daughter of Taha wa Yasin, the best of daughters given to al-Mu'mineen. We ask you to intercede for us on Qiyamah, so that with you we may also enter Jannah. On this day, for surely victorious will be, saved from the hellfire through His mercy. Al-A'imma bint al-Khadija. Al-A'imma bint al-Khadija. Ruh al-Kamali. Ya Zahra, flower of Ali. Ya Hawra, delight of Nabi. Al-A'imma bint al-Khadija. Al-A'imma bint al-Khadija. Ruh al-Kamali. The the best of women to have walked on this earth. You deserve the best of husbands equal to your worth. He was known as Al-Qarar and Asadullah, the one who gave charity while he was in Salah. Ya Haydar, Babul Medina, blessed he was to be born in the Kaaba. Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Ruh al-Kamali, Ya Zahra, flower of Ali, Ya Hawra, delight of Nabi. Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Ruh al-Kamali, in your house the Holy Prophet did come one day. You showed him a story, remember till today. A house with such nur which was seen from high above, respected such that even the angels would knock. Who was under the cloak? The questions had begun. Fatima, her father, her husbands and her sons. Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Ruh al-Kamali, Ya Zahra, flower of Ali, Ya Hawra, delight of Nabi, Ya Zahra, flower of Ali, Ya Hawra, delight of Nabi. Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Ruh al-Kamali, visiting you in Baqi, one wish that we'd like, knowing when you'll visit us the day that we die. Sayyida, we ask Allah through our son Hussein, that with Imam al-Hujjat the right path we attain. Ya Mahdi, bring back the truth. Yabna Zahra, Mahdi, annihilate falsehood. Ya Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Ruh al-Kamali, Ya Zahra, flower of Ali, Ya Hawra, delight of Nabi, Ya Zahra, flower of Ali, Ya Hawra, delight of Nabi. Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Al-A'imma, Bint al-Khadija, Ruh al-Kamali, Ya Zahra, flower of Ali, Ya Hawra, delight of Nabi.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Jazakallah, Hamza. So toward the end of today's program, I would request Maulana Hussain to say a few words on this sacred life of Bibi Fatima Zahra. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen Abil Qasim Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Wa ahli bayt at-tayyibin at-tahirin al-ma'sumin al-mazlumin alladhina adhaba Allahu anhum rijsah wa tahharahum tathira. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم حسبنا الله نعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير. Let me begin by first off congratulating all the believing men and believing women on the birth anniversary of the Lady of Light, the Lady of the Worlds, Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. I also extend congratulations to the Imam of our time, Imam al-Mahdi, the great grandson of this lady, Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra salamullahi alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali. There are many different things that we can learn from the life of Bibi Fatima. Although her life was quite short, one of the lessons that we learn is that living a life which is fruitful doesn't depend on how long our life is. Even if a person's life is short, if they use that time wisely, if they use that time to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it becomes a life that is worth something. It is a life which has value. Whereas if we were to spend all of these years in this dunya, in this world, but not use it for anything of value, and despite however long that dunya, our life in this dunya may be, it is something which is not worth any value. One of the lessons that we can find in the life of Bibi Fatima al-Zahra is that this lady, she had this unwavering faith in the akhirah. She had this unwavering belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She had this unwavering faith in the message that her father Rasulullah brought. She believed in Islam, she believed in the Quran. It was something which went and entered the core of her existence. And this belief of hers, it drove her in her life. It drove her in the actions she took. It drove her in her character. It drove her in her personality. And it drove her in her words, which we heard some of these younger students recite some of her sayings. This aspect of believing in Allah and having belief in the akhirah is something which is of utmost importance. And it's something which needs to be instilled from a young age. Our young children, they need to be taught that this life is not limited just to these few decades that we live in this dunya. There is a life which comes after this dunya. After death, there is a life which is more complete. There is a life which is more intense than this dunya. If a person has this idea in their mind that after this dunya there is life, after this dunya there is another dimension of existence, one of the things that this results in is that it results in a very strong work ethic. One of the problems within our communities is that when it comes to our personal lives, when it comes to our school, when it comes to our business, when it comes to our work, we are very disciplined. We have a very strong work ethic. But when it comes to our religion, when it comes to our deen, when it comes to our centers, when it comes to our children's religious education, there is no discipline. There is no work ethic. And if we ask ourselves why this is, it's because we don't have that true belief that this is going to result in something. We know that when we go to school and when we work hard in school and we perform well, we get good grades, we know that there is going to be some reward for it. We get a degree, we get a job, we make money, we're able to buy a house. So we have this certainty that something good is going to come about. But when it comes to religion, the certainty isn't there. If the certainty was there that we're going to get something good, know for a fact that whatever we do within our centers, the activities, the Islamic and religious education of our children, we would take it seriously. There's a story of Bibi Fatima al-Zahra where a lady comes to her and she asks her a couple of questions. She said that I have a mother and she's very old and she's very aged. And she has a couple of questions regarding her salat. Because she couldn't recite her salat properly, she wanted to ask a couple of questions pertaining to her salat. What is permissible, what is not permissible. So this lady started asking Bibi Fatima several questions. She asked the first question, second question, third question, and she asked all the way up to the 10th question. And all of a sudden she became embarrassed. She said, I'm giving, the daughter of the Prophet, I'm inconveniencing her. I'm giving her a hard time. I'm asking her one question after another. I'm taking her time. I'm asking so many things to her. Perhaps she's annoyed, so she apologized to Bibi Fatima. She said, I apologize for bothering you. So Bibi Fatima, she says to this lady, she says, ask whatever questions you have. Ask whatever questions you have, pertaining to anything, pertaining to salat, pertaining to aqaid, whatever questions you have, come and ask me. And she draws a very beautiful example. She says that if you see somebody carrying something heavy from one place to another, and that is very heavy for that person, but if that person is given a reward of 100,000 dinar, 100,000 gold coins, will that seem heavy to that person to carry? No. If somebody is given $100,000 to carry something heavy from here to there, that thing which they're carrying is no longer heavy. She says, every single time I ask you, you ask me a question, and I answer you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives such a great reward that it goes from that the amount of the reward which is for that is equivalent or more than the distance between the constellation and the arsh of Allah. So don't be embarrassed. Ask questions. Ask whatever questions you have, because the reward which I get from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is more than what you are inconveniencing me. Sure, you're taking my time. Sure, all of these things. But the reward is so much greater. The reward is so much more intense that keep on asking me. I have this yaqeen and I have this certainty that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be giving me the reward. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And this is what baby's life is filled with. It's filled with this lesson of having a strong work ethic, having proper discipline, having this ability to do things and complete it, not doing things haphazardly. This is something which we really need to learn in our lives, both in our secular lives when it comes to work, but also when it comes to our center. When it comes to the center, we have to have this level of discipline. One of the things which upsets me a lot is, when we all know when we're supposed to come in, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to take our shoes and put it on the rack. But how many of us put our shoes on the rack? All the time I see it in the entrance, both on the men's and the women's. Just a simple act of taking the shoe and putting it on the rack. Very few people do it. Most of the shoes are on the ground. People are stepping over it. People are tripping over it. Kids who are running late in the morning, they're falling over it. Why does this happen? It's because we don't have a proper work ethic. We don't have a proper discipline. Just doing something simple like taking your shoes and putting it in a rack, it shows that we have a proper work ethic when it comes to our religion. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And this isn't limited just to our religion. All aspects of our life we have to have this discipline. There's a beautiful story when Bibi Fatima, she was taking care of her child. And as she was taking care of her child, she was also, I don't know if you guys seen this grinder, she was taking this grinder and she was grinding the flour. And what happened was on her hand she got calluses, she got blisters. Rasulullah comes in the house and she sees Bibi Fatima holding a child in one hand, and with the other hand she's grinding this. And he looks at her and he sees her going through so much pain, and he begins to cry. And he tells her that, my daughter, that the hardships of this dunya, exchange the hardships of this dunya for the rewards in the akhirah. That sure, for a short period of time you're going to be going through some difficulty, you're going to be going through some hardship, but know that in exchange for this, the reward that Allah is going to give you is much more abundant, which is much more excessive. And this is something which we need to have our yaqeen about. The last thing that I want to end with is this story, especially this is directed at the parents. It's a story where Bibi Fatima, what she used to tell her children, or what she used to tell Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein. And there's a very important tarbiyati lesson. There's an important lesson in terms of how our relationship with children should be. She tells Imam Hassan and the other children that I want you to go to the masjid, and when Rasulullah is there and he's giving a speech, he's giving a khutbah, I want you to go and I want you to listen and memorize as much as you can. And I want you to come home and whatever you've learned, tell me what Rasulullah said. Bibi Fatima, she's a masoom and her knowledge is ilm al-ladunni. Her knowledge is, she already has a knowledge which is given to her by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what is she doing? She wants to make sure that this relationship between the child and the parent is there. She wants to make sure that her son goes to the masjid, her son listens to what is the topic the Prophet is talking about, what are the verses that are coming down from Jibreel, what are the messages that he's giving, and that he brings it back to her and he teaches her, he tells her that this is what Rasulullah talked about, this is the message Rasulullah talked about, this is a new verse which came down. And this is something relevant for us, it's something which we parents should do. When our children, both in religious school as well as regular school, we should ask our children, what did they learn? What is something new that you learned? What is something interesting that you came across? What did you do in school? It's something to establish this relationship between us and our children. And if that mode of communication is open with our children, where we're willing to talk to them about their lives, then the children will be willing to talk to us about their lives. And as they grow older, challenges come about. And if they're not willing to talk to the parents about their challenges, then who are they going to go and speak to? Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He instills in our lives the teachings of Bibi Fatima. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the greatness of this lady that He forgives all of our sins. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the greatness of this lady that He allows us to enter the paradise. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the greatness of this lady to hasten the dhuhur of our 12th Imam, Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Okay, so there's some cake for celebrating the Wiladath of Bibi Fatima. So we're going to end the program with a little bit of cake, inshallah. Okay. So why don't everybody come up and we'll take a big picture, and then we'll give slices. We'll cut slices and give it to everybody. Who wants cake? If you want cake, raise your hand. I don't see that many hands raised up. Huh? Okay, now I see some more. All right, both hands. Okay, good. Salatu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. This isn't stable, it's going to fall.
Why is that stable?
This table. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Whoever wants cake, come on up. It doesn't look like anybody. It doesn't look like anybody wants cake.
I want this cake.
Not for children.
Only for the grown-ups.
Not for children.
Which one is that for?
So how about you all
Who's that for?
stand? We'll take a picture of all the
Is that for
students.
grown-ups?
Alana, you
Come on
have
that
to please
side.
sit in the center, and they'll sit
Okay,
and
sure.
stand around you.
Which one is for grown-ups? This one, oh man.
Whichever one you want, you can have. Which one do you want?
I like chocolate.
You can sit in
You
the
like
center.
chocolate?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's chocolate.
All right, come over here.
You can sit in front. You can cut the cake.
Okay, it's okay. I can stand. That's fine. All right. You want to help me cut the cake? All right. Okay, come. You do it. Yeah, I was coming help.
All the kids, where are all the
Ready?
kids?
Hold my hand. Hold my hand. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let's cut this one.
Amna, you come too.
Yahoo, I love this
Good.
cake.
You girls cut the other cake.
Be ready, be careful.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali
Okay, everyone take a picture. Group picture.
Okay, everybody gather around. Everybody gather around. Let's take a picture. Yes.
Knife and the chair. You can move the chair all the way.
The cake was trying to escape.
All the students. Whoever's not here, Hamza, you can go stand. You want to stand, go stand.
Come on, Hamza. Smile.
Oh, we don't see Noor. Noor come in the front.
You come into the front. Those who are short in the front. Those who are tall in the back.
It was like all the same.
Okay.
Okay, mashallah. So what we're going to do is take the cake in the kitchen, and so it's easy for you to serve. And
You sure it's gonna come back here, though, right?
yeah, you can.
It's not gonna stay there.
You can share it on
Cake.
Okay. Let's go into the kitchen and have some cake, okay, guys? Thank you for coming. Alhamdulillah. How are you doing?
Come on.